Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So again, hello and welcome to today's webinar on Inspector 3.0, the beta version. Today we're going to be talking about how Inspector 3.0 will change the way you look at your data. We're really excited to have you here. Let's go ahead and get started. So just to do some introductions here at the beginning, my name is Zach Dukowitz. I'll be your host today. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Flyability. And our two speakers, our two panelists today are Simon Kum, the Managing Director at InspectDrone, and also Marc Gandillon, our Marketing Director here at Flyability. Just to give you a sense for what you're in for today, what the agenda looks like, we're going to go through a very brief introduction. That's what I'm doing now. And then Marc will be presenting on why we created a new version of Inspector, giving you some details and an overview of Inspector 3.0. Then we'll pass things off to Simon of InspectDrone, and Simon's going to be looking at case studies. He's been testing Inspector 3.0, and he's been using it in the field, so he'll be sharing what he's learned and how he's been using it. After Simon presents, we're going to hand it back to Marc, who will talk about our beta tester program that's open to anyone who is already using an LEOS 2 in their work. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A for 20 minutes where you can ask any question that you might have. That being said about the Q&A, feel free to ask questions at any point. We have other team members who are fielding questions, pasting them into a document, so we'll make sure to answer them at the end, and also answering them live, depending on the depth of the question and whether it's sort of a good question for a general discussion or something that can be answered quickly. But all that's to say, please don't be shy. You'll see in your dashboard, there's a questions pane. So go ahead and open it up. And at any point, if you have a question, feel free to type it in. One other question that we get often that's important to answer up front. If you're wondering if we'll be recording this, yes, we are recording the webinar. And the replay will be available within 24 hours after we finish. So we'll be sending an email out to everyone who signed up with a link to the webinar. So have no fear if you need to hop off, if you missed some part of it, if you just want to revisit some section, it'll be available for you. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to be handing things over to Marc. Marc, again, is our head of marketing. He's going to be talking about why we created a new version of Inspector. Give me just one moment and I will give Marc control.
All right. I hope everyone sees my screen. Give me a little second. All right. Yeah, thank you, Zach, for the introduction, and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And with no further ado, I'm going to start with answering the question, why a new version of Inspector? So as you may know, Inspector has always been part of the Flyability story. It was a bare minimum tool to review inspection data. And along the years, the feature set has been enriched. We added point of interest, documentation and export, 2D measurement, and so on. However, we have never really given Inspector the care it deserves. And in complete transparency, you know, Inspector has even started as an intern project. But actually recently changed our mind and decided to build a true software team at Flyability. And that was in order to deliver professional grade pieces of software to go along with our tools. And as you might have experienced, maybe, we're constantly reviewing our products with you, our customers. And that's to understand how we can improve them to match even more closely your needs and your expectations. And through your feedbacks, we've identified one important improvement that we could tackle using Inspector and the existing hardware, namely the LEOS 2. And that's the ability to localize inspection data to ease the planification and the subsequent maintenance operation. But it's also to ease communication between several teams that are involved in the maintenance of an asset. So Inspector was also the opportunity to start again from a blank page. Of course, not throwing away the great feature that made Inspector so far, but you'll notice during the presentation that the interface has been completely redesigned with a fresher look. What you'll certainly not notice is that the backbone of the software has been coded, so it is also ready for the future. But that's enough of history. Let's talk about data localization and why is data localization so important. So to give you some context, when you find a leakage in a sewer, the next step that you go through is actually to dig from the surface to reach the sewer section that is damaged. And that's in order to fix it. So a sewer can be very long, and if you don't know exactly where to dig, it can take quite a while actually to reach the right section. So with data localization, you know precisely where to dig, and you save a great amount of time and a great amount of money to get the problem fixed. Another example is, for example, if you have a large boiler, the image here on the background is a boiler with 300 burners. And if you have to inspect each of them, but you don't know precisely which one is damaged, so actually you will see that on the pictures or on your footage, but afterward, when you have to plan the work and you don't know exactly which one has been damaged, it's extremely hard to locate it, and it's extremely difficult to plan for scaffolding and to plan for subsequent action, right? So here again, data localization can really help. But that's honestly just a few examples. And through the feedback we got from alpha testers that had early version of Inspector 3.0, actually almost every single AliasTwo user will benefit from the mapping and the data localization features of Inspector 3.0. And you know, it's really the idea of having a visual inspection that is even more powerful when you can match the data with where it belongs. And it's really going from a messy set of information you've collected on paper to a nice map that has digitalized information that you can really pinpoint things on a blueprint. That's really what Inspector is about, pinpointing data on a blueprint easily. And we like to say that AliasTwo is a great tool to tell you the what is going on in my asset, what kind of defect am I facing. And Inspector 3.0 now will tell you the where. Where is it located? Where do I have to apply my scaffolding? Where do I have to ripple down to get things fixed? So Inspector 3.0 relies on three family of features basically. And firstly, you have the ability to visualize data. So that's something you probably know about if you've been using Inspector in the past. Secondly, you have this ability to document data with point of interest, making measurement, documenting what you see on the screen. And what we're adding today is really the ability to localize data within your asset. So I just want to go quickly through a small poll asking your opinion about how important is data localization for you. So you should now see on your screen a question, and you can go ahead and vote what you think, how important is data localization for you. So we'll allow a few more seconds to get all your votes. All right. So let's see the results. So 4% of you think that it's really a nice to have and that you can live perfectly without it. 35% of you think it's really a game changer. It's going to drastically change the way you perform inspections. And 61%, so the majority of you, think it's essentials. It's an essential feature, and inspections are useless without data localization. All right, thank you very much for this insight on what you think about data localization. And now we'll just go quickly through a short video about Inspector to give you an idea of all the feature and how it looks like from the inside.
Some visual inspections get all their sense when you're able to match the data with where it belongs. Sometimes planning a repair requires knowing how much scaffolding you'll need or exactly where your team must rappel down. Sometimes you'll need to know precisely where to dig to fix this leaking sewer. Without GPS information, pinpointing inspection data on a blueprint is a real challenge. But what if this was a thing of the past? Inspector 3.0 allows you to visualize, localize, and document your inspection data. When you're done with data capture, connect your drone to your laptop, open Inspector 3.0, import selected flights, run our mapping algorithm, and enjoy a sparse 3D model of your inspection, along with a drone trajectory and all the points of interest you've created at inspection time. Navigate your asset and the video stream simultaneously. Find the points of interest you've captured during flight time. Review them and document what you see. Organize points of interest according to criticality level or any other tag you like. Use 2D measurement to put numbers on features. When you're happy with the outcome, simply click Export to send it to your colleagues or clients. Your report will contain every points of interest with all their data, including their position inside the asset.
All right, that's it for me. Over to you, Zach.
Mark, can you hand me the presenter role?
Sure.
Thanks so much. Excellent. Okay. So I'm actually just introducing Simon, who's up next to tell you about case studies, the experience that he's had in the field using Inspector 3.0 so far as an alpha tester. So again, I mentioned this a moment ago, but Simon is the managing director at Inspect Drone. He has a lot of experience doing indoor inspections. Really excited to hear from him. So Simon, I'm going to be handing things over to you. Give me just one moment. And there you go.
All right. Thanks a lot, Zach. I hope everything works because just a minute ago, all my screens turned black for a moment. I hope that won't happen again. Okay, let's see where I get the presentation. There we go. So yeah, okay. Once again, thank you. We had the great opportunity to do some alpha testing on the new Inspector software. Just a very quick disclaimer up front. Some of the flights we processed and some of the data that you will see later was not taken with the firmware that was already optimized for using the data with the new Inspector software. So it's possibly not perfect. Almost all the flights we did were not done in order to get perfect data, but just as usual. So we have just conducted the inspections as we did before to see how the software will work with that data. And we're not paid by Flyability, so what I'm telling you is, it's just what I think of the software and not what Flyability wants it to be. Although I think it gets quite close. Okay, so the two biggest use cases that we found for this software and where we tested it was, well, first the on-site review of data. Sometimes it's really useful to quickly have the information and the the localization data. We tried before with photogrammetry software, but I mean, if you tested that, you know that can take quite a long time, especially with indoor drone data. So yeah, what does it look like now? One example from a waste to energy plant where we did a furnace inspection. It was most important to have the best possible information about localization right after inspection, just to give you a head start during the shutdown, so the customer can plan his his personnel, his scaffolding, and everything as quick as possible. Drawn some yellow outlines here so you can get an idea of what the boiler looks like. So this is like the complete sidewall of the boiler. And as you can see, you don't really have to know this boiler that well. You can instantly see where did we take an image or where was a POI placed. Everybody in the, let's say, after inspection discussion, I mean, there are sometimes 5-6 people at the desk from different fields. There are the scaffolders, the handyman, the managers, and everybody can instantly get an idea, okay, what's the situation? And you can get really good and very precise coordinates for the planning. I'm sure many will ask later what the precision of the data is, or how exactly you can do measurements, and I will leave this question for Flyability to answer, but I can tell you it's really good. So yeah, in the waste energy plan, that was really useful. One other thing Mark mentioned before is sewer inspections. Here it is almost essential to have this software because until now you only had the chance to like estimate how far you went inside a horizontal tube. Well, now you can just measure it. The image you can see in the presentation here is a typical image that results of a not that perfect data set. We just did not put any focus on getting perfect data here, but it's already extremely useful. So even if the 3D model that comes out of the software is not really great, it's still very good to work with. Yeah, and of course you can take measurements no matter if the duct is or the sewer is displayed in a perfect straight line, or if it's bent a little. I think you can see here in this image, just took that from a mission last week. When you plan your mission accordingly, you do get really, really good images. You get a really good point cloud that you can actually use to do measurements and to localize your data extremely precisely. So the second use case that we found is that you can do much better post-mission analysis. So it's not in the field. Okay, in the field you want very quick information. You want quick overview, let's say. But when you're doing reports, then you maybe want to have a bit more. You want more data, and well, Inspector 3 gives you a lot more data when you really go deep. This example here is especially nice one, I think. It's from a hydrogen reformer inspection, and well, if you look at the image, the outlines are very clear. The flight path in red that you see gives you a really good idea how the flight went, and you can actually, with some further data processing, do extremely detailed analysis. So in this instance, the data was so good you could make out single tubes in the hydrogen reformer. I actually did measurements on the tubes, and they were really good. You can locate the tubes because you have the 3D information. You can do numbering, so also for repeated inspections, you have a lot more data to get back to a special or to a point of interest to find that again in the next mission. And of course, you have a much better visual documentation. So there's no question regarding, oh, okay, where was that image? And yeah, so it's really great. And it also works for really complex environments. Just one image for to end the quick talk here. You actually might have seen the plant that was taken here because we did a video with Flyability earlier this year. I think it was February or March. And yeah, the point cloud you can see here was processed from one of the flights we did for the Ilios 2 marketing video. Yeah, and then you can see it's quite a complex shape. The flight was not that smooth, was not perfectly made for inspector, and it was well before we even knew we will use this with some kind of new software. But still, great result, I think. Great, so that's already the end. I hope you liked what you saw, and I hope you get really good results from your data as well. And with that, I will give back to Zach. If he's still there.
I'm here. Yeah.
There he is.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Apologies. Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks so much, Simon, for the presentation. Really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing some of the ways that you've been actually using this software in the field. So now I'll be handing things back to Mark, who's going to tell us about the beta tester program. So Mark, I'll actually be passing things to you. Give me just one moment. And just a reminder, if you do have questions at any point, please don't be shy about entering those questions into the chat pane. We will be saving those questions for the Q&A at the end. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Zach, for getting back to me again. All right, so now after this very interesting presentation of case studies and use cases from Simon, I'd like to quickly cover the beta tester programs that we have. So basically what we've done for Inspector 3.0 is we've put a program in place so that any of you Ilios 2 user can start trying it, right? So let me just okay, so why did we go through a beta version instead of going directly with the live product? But first, we wanted to make sure that the mapping robustness, which is at the heart of this software, is sufficient to meet the needs of our clients before they start paying for that kind of feature, obviously. The other aspect is that we have here a set of features that is a starting point, but we want to add more, and we want to make sure that we have the right priority for the future features. And the last point is that we wanted to make sure that the reliability of the overall product is up to your expectations, and having a beta program and earlier than that an alpha program allowed us to really improve, or allows us to really improve the product reliability. So if you want to join the beta, what are the prerequisites? It's pretty simple. You just need to own an Ilios 2 because you'll need to extract your hardware ID And that's something you can get through a simple log file. And on the page where the registration page for the beta tester program, you can simply download a log file, and we'll give you the hardware ID. So that makes the process very simple. The next thing is that you have to agree with sharing a little bit of data usage. So there's nothing that is shared that is confidential. It's just user behavior that we want to track, understanding which features you're using the most, how often you successfully map your flight, and when it does not work, why is it not working? What are the errors that the algorithm is reporting? So this is really important for us to continuously improve this product. And an important point is that you need to have one beta registration per drone. So if you have several drones, you can use your name to register your several units, and because you'll need one license per drone. Now, what you can expect, you can use that software for free until further notice. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. The software is provided as is and as available, so there is no guarantee about the feature, but what you will see, I hope you'll like it. Our support team is available to answer your questions. We've set up a good process here, and our team is now up to speed to the most common questions. And your feedback, well, it's not mandatory, but it's obviously highly appreciated. And when you register for the beta, we'll come back to you and send you some survey. And if you can answer that and help us make that product even better, we'll definitely appreciate that. So to get started, it's pretty simple. You just go and use that link, flyability.com/inspector3 beta registration. You just register, put your first name, last name, email, and hardware ID. You get an email with instruction to download and install the software. There's a bit of installation process that you need to go through. And then here we go. You'll be ready to get started. We have one data set that we share just to give you an overlook of what the software is about. And then you can use simply your hardware and start collecting things and mapping them and really enjoying the benefits of this new product. So in terms of features, there is actually two versions. There is a free one and a premium one. In the free one, you have visualize, document features. Those are the one that you are really familiar with if you've been using the previous version of Inspector. And in the premium version, you have this data mapping and localization feature. So the free one, of course, is free. And when we'll switch to the final version, the premium one will be about 3,000 Swiss francs per year per drone, which is 2,000 euro or 3,500 US dollar with the current exchange rate. But for now, there is this free version, a beta version that you can have, and it contains all the features of the premium version. So that's about it for the beta tester program. And I have, again, a quick poll for you. If you can answer the question, are you going to register for the beta? There you go. You can give us your vote and let us know if this is of interest to you. All right, I'm going to give a few more seconds for you to vote. All right. All right, thank you very much. I'm sharing here the results. I'm discovering this feature as I speak to you, so it's a great feature to share this data. Apparently, 53% are ready to sign up for the beta testing. 6% don't see the point. That's fine. If you don't see the point, don't use it. And 42% would love to, but they don't have an interest to. So for that, probably the best way is to reach out to our sales team, start the discussion. You know that we constantly have the ability to do live demonstration will be. We're very inventive with even those times where we cannot travel. There's always a way to find a way to demonstrate the technology. We have resellers all around the world, so we don't hesitate to ask our sales team for a demonstration. And they're also very proficient with inspector trees, so they can really go more into detail. All right, so that's about it for the poll. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks so much, Mark. So now we'll be transitioning to the Q&A. So I guess, Mark, you can stay on, and Simon and Antonino, if you guys can join us as well. Great. Okay, so I've already introduced Mark and Simon, of course, but also want to introduce our other team member, Antonino, who's a project manager here at Flyability. So he's really an expert in the nuts and bolts of how Inspector 3.0 works. So he'll be helping us answer questions as well. We have a ton of questions that have come in. Please feel free to continue to ask questions. Please don't be shy. But yeah, that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Some of the questions we have are, kind of in the weeds, which I think is appropriate. People are wondering about how to actually use the software. So the first question is from Lori, our friend Lori, who we've actually done webinars with before. She's wondering, will the beta version be Windows native, or will it still run via virtual machine? And I'm not sure who, maybe Antonino, maybe you should take that one.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Indeed, the beta software will use the virtualization, so Docker, in order to run the mapping algorithms on Windows.
And so will it still run via virtual machine, or maybe address
Correct.
that in? Okay, great.
Yeah, it will still run on the virtual machine.
Okay, excellent. And we have a similar question from Remco, who was asking, he says, I saw a certain build of Windows 10 was needed. Is it really necessary? Would Windows 10 1909 also work?
So yeah, in this case, the compatibility is up to Windows Update 1903. So if you have a version 1903 onwards, you should be able to set up WSL2, which is basically the technical brick needed to have Docker working.
Got it. Okay. Thanks so much, Antonino. We have a question about data security from Matthew, who's saying, I'm concerned by my numerical security. Can you explain how will my data be shared with you?
Should I take this one as well?
Yeah,
Sure.
Antonino, I think you're the one who knows better.
Yeah, I think you're the expert here. I think
sure. So for the beta, what we require is just data about the usage of the software. We don't actually get any footage or any sensitive information about how the drone was used. We just ask to basically understand if the mapping success rate is going as expected, if the platform on which Inspector is running is the one we expect. And we also record the drone ID information for understanding a bit more also the accuracy of the mapping across the fleet of drones that we have on the field. But that's basically it. We don't access any other sensitive information. Of course, feel free to ask any other question if that wasn't clear enough.
Yeah, thanks so much. We'll wait to see if Matthew has any follow-ups with that. We have several questions from Mark, who's curious about the 3D data. So the first question was, how does the Helios collect the 3D data for the location model? Does it use photogrammetry or the sensors on the Helios? I think
I'll take this.
Yeah,
yes.
It might be you.
Okay, so the way it works is that we use the footage recorded on the drone, so the videos are recorded by the camera together with IMU data. So basically the way it works is that the algorithms tracks features in the frames and kind of understand how these features move compared to the drone. And according to that, is able to estimate position, velocity and orientation of the drone. And then is able also to reproject this feature in the 3D space. And that's what the point cloud is given as an output from the program.
Thank you so much, Antonino. This is one Simon may be able to answer, given how much you've used it. Mark's also asking about the level of locational accuracy the 3D model or the point cloud provides. Simon, is that something you could speak to?
well, I can speak for our Ilios. I am not 100% sure if that's the same accuracy overall model, but I assume. So the accuracy depends a little bit on the data quality. My experience is that you get it, let's say something around 1 or maybe 2 digit centimeter accuracy. So mostly it depends on the asset you're working in and on, let's say, the data that you have from the blueprint. But yeah, it's say around 10 centimeters of accuracy when you have good data, and at least it is at least better than half a meter with bad data.
Okay.
And I tried really bad data where there were hardly any points that the software could find, but still the flight path was extremely accurate. So only the IMU data is already really precise.
Thank you so much, Simon. And Antonino, do you have anything to add about locational accuracy?
I fully agree with what Simon said. I think the quality of the data you input in the software is of paramount importance to understand the accuracy you can expect. For instance, just a few tips and tricks. I mean, good visual environments with lots of features, good lighting are really good environments for the mapping engine to work, as it relies on the footage. Of course, if you are in really super dusty environments with no visual features, very dark and poor image quality, it's going to be trickier for the software. In that case, the accuracy may be lower.
Great. Thank you both so much. I have a question that's been asked by a few different people, both Mark and Matthew, and I'm sure maybe some others are wondering about this too. The question is, can the 3D point cloud be exported out of Inspector and loaded into other software packages? And Antonino, I think this is probably one best for you again.
Sure. So Inspector saves the output in a PCD file, which is a very common file, open file. So you're free to use the data as you prefer, import it in other software like Cloud Compare or many others if needed. So yes.
Excellent, thank you. And a follow-up question, is all of the data processing for the 3D, the point cloud done outside of the drone? Does it have any impact on the battery runtime?
So indeed, all the processing is done offline. So nothing runs on the drone. Everything is run on the laptop. So it doesn't matter for the flight of the drone and no impact on battery life. We're just using the stored data, so the logs and the video to compute the output afterwards.
And about how long, and maybe Simon, since you've used it in the field, how long does it take to do the processing?
Well, that depends mostly on the duration of your flight, but actually I think the processing time has gone down with the latest versions of the Inspector. I did not check that. Maybe Antonino knows more about that. It's in the region of, let's say, 10 to 20 minutes per flight. Sometimes even quicker. That also depends, of course, on the environment that you fly in. The easier, let's say, the features are to spot for the software, it appears that the quicker the processing is.
Excellent. And Antonino, do you have anything to add about processing?
Just maybe a small precision on this. It also depends, of course, on how powerful your machine is. So also in terms of CPU, and I guess Simon is equipped with a nice, powerful laptop. On let's say average laptop machines, so we would say around 20 to 25 minutes. And as Simon said, it also depends on the trickiness of the environment. But indeed, something around that range should be expected.
Thank you both. Rimco's wondering, earlier versions, I'm assuming earlier versions of Inspector, were also able to create a point cloud or a 3D model. What is the biggest improvement in Inspector 3.0 besides the geodata? Antonino, I think maybe this one's for you.
I'll take this one. Honestly, maybe it's worth maybe having a clarifying question, because previously Spectre 2.2 was unable to generate the point clouds or photogrammetry models. So I don't know if I was referring more to the photogrammetry export feature, maybe.
I guess it is what is referred to. Yeah.
Yeah, but then now that what we're talking about is really a feature embedded in the software itself. You don't need any other external software to be able to extract the point clouds and trajectory out of your flight.
Excellent. But I think to his point, the geodata is the biggest aspect of the software that really is a game changer. I mean, as we saw in the results from the survey, I think a lot of people on here would be excited about the ability to pinpoint the location of a defect, right? In a sparse point cloud you can create shortly after a mission. So I mean, I think I think the answer in a way is yes, that is the biggest aspect of this software, that you can localize your data.
Yeah, maybe just to add a little word on that, if you want to compare what you can do with photogrammetry software versus what you can do with Inspector. I mean, photogrammetry is probably even more precise, and you can do 3D volume measurements. You can do very accurate 2D measurement, and you can also have textured results. So it means that your model will really look almost like realistic. Inspector 3.0 is not focused on that. This is really another stuff. There is plenty of software providers that are doing great job at this. So we really wanted to do something that addressed two main issues, as localizing your data so that you know where they are, and you can brief. You can use that as a communication tool between the different teams, so that everybody speaks the same language, everybody understands where the problem is, and gets it solved very quickly. So it's all about trading time, processing time, and precision, I would say, versus the essential functionality of data localization.
Thanks so much, Mark. We have a question from Ian, and I've seen this question come up from a few other people, and Antonino, I think this one's going to be for you. The question is, how well does the software handle multiple flights, putting them into a single point cloud? Are there any cloud-to-cloud registers? Well, let's answer that one, and then we can go to Ian's second question. But how does it handle multiple flights? Can we put multiple flight data into a single point cloud?
So at the moment, for the beta and for the official release of the software, we will only implement the ability to map one flight at a time. So you won't be able to have multiple flights merge into one, but that's something that we're looking at, and it's definitely something in our roadmap to implement soon enough.
And Simon, have you found that limitation to be important in the field? I could imagine it could be important, but I'm wondering for you, actually, out there doing the work, how has that limitation impacted you, if at all?
Well, until now, that was not a limitation, but of course, it would have been a nice feature in some instances. So I'm looking forward to the further development. I mean, yeah, and in the end, it is a beta software. It's not finished yet. I think the core feature is working really well, and I mean, that is or it depends on what you're doing with your drone, but for most people, it should be a killer feature. But yeah, it will be nice if you can match multiple flights. I think, I mean, you do have the point cloud. So if you're proficient with other software managing point clouds, you can just do that manually to add them, or to play around with them any way you want. The one picture I showed in the presentation was just like a cross section of the point cloud that I also did in external software.
Excellent, thank you. And I think this is a follow-up question. Frankly, I lack the technical knowledge to know I think it is. Antonino, I'll ask you the question. This is also from Ian, who's asking, are there any cloud-to-cloud registration issues the user will have to either plan for with targets or handle in the software?
So here we're talking always about the ability to merge several flights into one point cloud, right?
Okay.
In that case, the way it would work is that the mapping engine will merge both flights together, trying to understand where there is overlap and when there are similar features, and the output will be one point cloud. So we don't expect the user to need to do anything except on selecting which flights to merge.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a question from Matthew who's asking, is it possible to model data from an already existing flight?
So yes, this is possible. Nonetheless, we strongly suggest to update your firmware to version 1.4.0 as this improves the compatibility and the performance of the pipeline. But all previous datasets are compatible with Inspector 3.0.
Excellent, thank you. Another question. Can you tell us more about the Docker software required for mapping?
Sorry, I didn't read the question. Just in general about the mapping itself, like how the Docker works, or?
Yeah, the Docker software. I don't know, the DOCKER.
Okay. Yeah, so basically we use Docker to support. So the mapping engine today runs on Linux environment. So in order to be able to run those algorithms on a Windows platform, we use Docker as a way to basically run lightweight virtual machines on the user laptops. But just to be clear, that the way we use Docker is really to use as little as possible resources and not to have huge programs running in the background. And I don't know, maybe Simon also has experience with that.
Well, my experience with Docker is limited to, taking a bit of time once to install it. I'm not sure if that improved. I think there's the latest 3.0 version just came out. Maybe that's a bit easier. But after that, but you don't have a lot of contact with Docker, because like if you start it with your computer, then you will have no problem at all. Otherwise, you have to start Docker before you start mapping. But the software will work without Docker running. Just the mapping itself is limited to the Docker instance. And it will eat a lot of RAM. That's most important thing. If you plan to do some mapping, better invest in a laptop that can handle 32 or more gigabytes of RAM.
Thank you, Simon. We've got time for just one more question. This is a question from Brandon, and I think Antonino, this will be for you. Brandon's asking, is the processed point cloud roughly geo-referenced using the GPS position obtained during pre-mission and post-mission takeoff or landing? Is that how we get locational data, or do we get it some other way?
So at the moment, no. At the moment, we basically set fictitious origin for the point cloud, but it's something we're looking into also to allow to export this data also with other software. So in order to use this georeference data in order to provide localization tagging in the images itself.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We do have some other questions about the Helios 2. I just wanted to acknowledge that what we've tried to do with this Q&A is really just focus on Inspector 3.0. I know we had questions about the Helios 2's range. We have a range extender that can extend the range, but some of those questions we've just decided to focus on Inspector 3.0. So I just wanted to apologize if your question didn't get answered. There is contact information here on the slide that you're looking at. Please feel free to follow up with us. We absolutely would like to answer every question. If we didn't have these time constraints, we would sit here indefinitely, but we want to respect everyone's time. We thank you for joining us, and I think we're going to sign off here. Does everyone have any final words about Inspector 3.0 before we sign off? Okay. Well, Simon, I really want to thank you. You're really the star of this presentation. Obviously, Antonino, you're the star of the Q&A. Thank you. And Mark, thank you for guiding us through the nuts and bolts of how the software works. It's been a pleasure, and we'll look forward to hearing from everyone. We hope that you all become beta testers or Helios 2 customers if you're not yet. So thanks so much, everyone, and I hope you have a great weekend coming up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a good time.
Bye-bye.